Hello, Bible readers. It is Tuesday, May 18th. We're reading from Ezekiel 11 through 13 and Revelation 9 to 10. The graphic, extreme violence of Ezekiel's second vision ends in chapter 11. It's a vision that claims the past, the present, and the future for God, justifying God's judgment, explaining how the death of a nation shows the sovereignty of God. It's making sense of the Babylonian exile. It's a God whose wrath isn't mean or inappropriate. It's righteous, at least from Ezekiel's prophecy standpoint. This God's presence can't be contained within walls or by self-serving theologies, which is what, of course, Israel and the people of Jerusalem have been trying to do for a long time, which is what Ezekiel is speaking out against. And it's a God whose freedom confounds every human strategy to try to pen this God in. God is to be feared, and God is on the loose. That's what Ezekiel is trying to say about this moment in the history of the relationship between God and God's people. In chapter 12, we have God speaking to Ezekiel again. It would be to hear how upset God is with the people around you would be tough if you're Ezekiel. The word I couldn't read was tough. If you're Ezekiel, here you are with all these other exiles, and you're hearing this word from God saying, everybody you're surrounded by are just absolutely faithless. They're the reason for all these calamities happening. If you're Ezekiel, you might want to step away. Like, here comes something bad. You shall know that I am the Lord. It sounds like a threat in this part of Ezekiel, because it is. And woe to false prophets in chapter 13. I'll tell you that too. And then you get into Revelation, our texts from Revelation for today. A key opens a bottomless pit where the destroyer is. Smoke ascends that produces these locusts, which are made to have power like scorpions, tormenting people for 5 months. Humanity is not to be killed. They are to be tormented. And then in chapter 10, a strong angel comes down. And the description of that angel, how about that? First, John's got to prophesy. That's the first thing this big angel wants to talk about. Second, in chapter 11, we're going to hear about how 2 others called to prophesy were killed by the beast. It is a very, really bright imagery being talked about here. It made me want to read this part of Barbara Rossing's book, The Rapture Exposed, which speaks to how Revelation tries to get us beyond our heads and into kind of reading with our hearts and our feelings. Think of Revelation's imagery like that of a 3-dimensional magic eye picture. The picture appears to be just flat rows of tiny patterned shapes on the page. Only if you let go of a literalist fixation on each of those shapes and allow your eyes to blur to a deeper 3-dimensional picture will it come into view. My favorite magic eye is from the Shed Aquarium in Chicago with the caption, "Don't expect to see everything the first time." At first glance, this picture looks like rows of blue and turquoise abstract shapes on a flat page. When you let go and blur your vision, you suddenly begin to see the real picture. 2 dolphins jumping out of the water and a whale diving down. A whole aquatic world comes to life inside the page, and you're drawn into this deeper world. Revelation's world of vision is like that of a magic eye picture. It's an aha kind of vision that draws us in to see the deeper picture. God invites us to let go of the flat page, to stop trying to figure out each literal detail of Revelation, and instead enter further into the larger picture. As we read and meditate on the images of Revelation, we find whole new levels of God's vision for our world unveiled to us. We taste water that's not just water, it's living water, the river of life. We follow Jesus, the shepherding lamb, who invites us to drink from springs of that living water. We hear God's lament for our world that is oppressed, and we witness the trial and judgment of oppressors in a suspense-filled courtroom. Finally, and most wonderfully, we see God coming to earth to live with us in a beloved city to wipe away all the world's tears. We're in a couple chapters of Revelation that are especially tough. It's leading to, and is even now, a way of showing how deeply God cares for and loves this world and us. I am one with my God. My God is with us, all of us, at all times and in all places.